Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our YouTube channel for our Thursday lectures. Welcome to everyone who joined for the first time. Welcome back to everyone who already joined us before. And today we have guest speakers from Amherst College. I would like to introduce you Xiaofeng Wan, the Associate Dean of Admissions and the Coordinator of International Recruitment at Amherst College. He will speak more about the Amherst College in general and the liberal arts philosophy. And we also have today Kate Gentile. She's a Senior Associate Dean for Financial Aid at Amherst College, and I believe Kate has a very extensive and rich experience in awarding financial aid to international students. So she will speak about the financial aid and about the college scholarship service, so-called CSS Profile. And if you do have questions about the financial aid, how to fill out the form, or any question related to financial aid requests, feel free to ask your questions to and address them to Kate. She will join us a little bit later. And as a reminder, if you have any question during the session webinar, please leave them in the chat box, and we will have time at the end of the session to answer all of your questions. And I'm just giving the floor to Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng, welcome.
Thank you, Katya. Hi, everyone. My name is Xiaofeng Wan. I'm an Associate Dean of Admission and the Coordinator of International Recruitment at Amherst College. It's a pleasure to connect with you here. I hope everybody's doing well and staying safe. So we're very excited to share with you today about Amherst College, and then my colleague Kate will share with you more extensively about financial aid and then CSS Profile later. So I have a presentation that I'll share with you, and there you go. All right, so is it good? Katya, can you see the presentation? Okay,
yes.
Excellent. All right, so Amherst College is a liberal arts college. So in the United States, if you want to earn a bachelor's degree for 4 years, you either go to a big traditional research institution or a small liberal arts college and for a bachelor's degree. There are some very distinctive differences between small liberal arts colleges and big research institutions. When I say big research institutions, I'm talking about schools such as UCLA or University of Michigan or Harvard or Yale, because they have both undergraduate and graduate level studies. Liberal arts colleges, however, are primarily focusing on undergraduate education. And we are much, much smaller than big research institutions. For example, our student population is usually between 1,000 to 3,000. And at big institutions, those can easily go above 5,000 or 10,000 or 40,000, depending on what institution that is. So that is going to impact your individual study and social life experience on campus significantly, because at small liberal arts colleges, you will be in small class sizes. For most of your classes, some of the classes have around 15 students or single-digit student, 3 or 4 or 2. Even some of the bigger classes have only 30 or 40 students, and those break into smaller discussion groups during the week as well. Instead of maybe 100 or 200 or sometimes 500 or 600 students in the big lecture hall. And another distinction is that all of your classes at liberal arts colleges will be taught directly by professors who have terminal degrees in their fields, which is usually a PhD, rather than graduate students. So that it really is going to make a major difference in your ability to get involved in high-level research with professors and hands-on research, and you can work on your own independent research with guidance and support from and funding from the college. Liberal arts colleges pour a lot of funding to our students' research, because we really want to make sure that you get those experiences before you advance your studies or go into the workforce. One thing that's quite different is to the liberal arts philosophy is that you don't have to declare a major when you apply. So that might be very different from your system in Ukraine and in other parts of the world. that you have the first 2 years once you're here to explore courses across disciplines. So you can take courses in history or psychology or neuroscience or biochemistry, and then decide on a major or 2 majors by the end of your second year. So that decision will be a much more informed one instead of rushing to make a decision by the end of your junior or senior year in high school when you apply to college. So even when you are asked what your interests are on the application, those will not be for your future major here, and you will not be admitted to a specific major when you apply to liberal arts colleges. So it gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility to discover what your true passions are, so that you can go on the right path of exploring those that you feel truly passionate about. Another very unique distinction is that liberal arts colleges don't typically offer pre-professional programs. For example, business or finance or communication or culinary art or nursing. Programs that prepare you for a specific job are typically not taught at liberal arts colleges, because our philosophy focuses on making sure that you have a solid foundation to work in any professions that you choose in the future, and have the skill set to switch from one profession to another and to adapt to a new environment really fast, to learn in a new job environment really fast. Some of the essential skills that we'll equip you with include your communication skills, because you're in a small class setting, you're interacting with peers from all over the country and the world. You have plenty of opportunity to express your perspectives. You have opportunities to present nationally and internationally with your professors or independently. Another skill is to think critically and creatively. Because you're taking courses across all disciplines, when you think about a problem in business, for example, you're able to approach it from many different angles instead of just business alone. And thirdly, we want to make sure that you're strong writers. You can not only just put words on the paper, but you can put words on the paper in a persuasive way, so that you can get your ideas across, and it'll significantly help with whatever you choose to do in the future. And think about your work in business or finance or communications and things and professions like these. Writing is an essential part of your job. Actually, it's an essential part for essentially anything that you do in the future, and communicating with people from different backgrounds and your way of thinking. You want to make sure that you can think creatively and critically to help solve problems at hand. Okay, so I'll stop here for the liberal arts philosophy, because there are many other characteristics that we can go into, but because of time, I'll talk a little bit about Amherst. Amherst College was founded in 1821. We have 1,800 students from all over the United States and around the world. We are located in the western part of Massachusetts, in a town called Amherst. We're about an hour and a half west of Boston, 3 hours north of New York City. We're located in an area called the Pioneer Valley. It's very beautiful, surrounded by nature, and also has a lot of great social events throughout the year. We offer over 850 courses across all disciplines, and we offer 40 majors. We have one of the lowest student-teacher ratios in the country, and a lot of study abroad programs for you to take advantage of. If you receive financial aid from Amherst College, and if you study abroad, your financial aid will travel with you. And that means that if you study at a place that costs more than Amherst, Amherst will cover the rest for you. And we also provide our students with a lot of research opportunities, because you are in the center of everything that we do, and we pour a lot of resources to your individual growth at Amherst College. In 2018, we opened a brand new science center for our students and faculty for their research. And also a third of the classes that take place in the Science Center are in the humanities. So it is truly a place for interdisciplinary studies. If you are interested in doing high-level research as an undergraduate student and you don't have to compete with graduate students, there's really no better place than, first of all, liberal arts colleges, because you're in the center of everything that we do, but also at Amherst with the cutting-edge research facilities that we have. Amherst is also a fun place. We have over 150 student clubs. The student government each year has a budget of $1 million. They can pour a lot of resources into organizing events that really make the campus an engaging and fun place. So if there's a club that you're interested in, you can certainly join a couple of them. Those are great places and occasions to make friends and to explore your interests. One of my favorite traditions in Amherst are the seasonal festivals. We have a spring festival, which is themed around international cultures. It's called the City Street Festival, and you get to taste world cuisines from every corner of the world on campus, and just to be with one another. And then in the fall, we have a fall festival where we celebrate, the fall harvest of New England. And you can see there are a lot of pumpkins lying around. There are a lot of really, local fall delicacies here. It's fun occasions too. And then we also have a farm festival because we have a farm on campus called Book and Plow. Students grow vegetables and they can supply those to our dining hall, so we actually consume what they grow, which is really fun. And in the winter, we have a winter festival that we deck out the entire gym into a winter wonderland. Again, so we are very intentional in creating occasions where the whole community members get together to just enjoy a good time. But we are also extremely hardworking, especially our students here. Amherst College also has the oldest athletics program in the country, dating back to 1860. So it is always fun to be a part of a sports team. You don't have to have any prior experience. You can just join as a beginner. So it's quite fun. Housing is guaranteed for 4 years at Amherst. You don't have to worry about living off campus anytime during the 4 years, and almost all of our students live on campus. And dining is also pretty nice on campus. Our dining hall has a lot of healthy options for our students. It's a buffet style. And the town of Amherst also has a ton of great restaurants with cuisines from all over the world. So you can simply just walk off campus and then be in the town of Amherst. Our students are among some of the most diverse in the country. They come from over 58 different countries and regions around the world. 10% of our students are international students. Every year, we have students applying from over 140 different countries and regions around the world. For example, last year, of the 10,600 applications that we received, over 3,100 came from international students. They truly take advantage of many of the academic and social opportunities that we offer to them at Amherst. One of the things that really distinguishes Amherst is the open curriculum. There are only a little over a handful of schools in the country that offer an open curriculum. It means that in the United States, most universities and colleges have something called a core curriculum, or means that you have to complete a set of courses in addition to your major requirements before you graduate. At Amherst College, we do not have a core curriculum or distribution requirements. So you truly have the space and structure to explore freely across disciplines, particularly during the first 2 years, and then focus on your major or majors for the second 2 years of your time here. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom to structure your own educational path at Amherst. It also makes study abroad more flexible, and you can continue earning credits while you're abroad for your major at Amherst. And it really just gives you a lot of freedom to explore your interests. The second thing that makes Amherst very unique is that we are surrounded by 4 other wonderful colleges and universities in our area within a 16-kilometer radius. The closest one to us is UMass Amherst. UMass Amherst is the flagship campus of the University of Massachusetts system. They have well over 31,000 students. They have both undergraduate and graduate level studies. And south of Amherst College, there's Hampshire College, another liberal arts college. They also offer an open curriculum. They have around 1,400 students. Further south from Hampshire College, there's Mount Holyoke College, which is the oldest women's college in the country. they have around 2,400 students. And then to our west, there's Smith College, which is the largest women's college in the country. And Smith also offers an open curriculum. So the Five College Consortium was formed back in the 50s. So we've been together for over half a century now. And we share a lot of our resources. So academically, you can choose out of the over 6,000 courses that we offer together with no extra charges. So if there's a course at UMass or Smith that you're interested in that's not offered at Amherst, you can certainly register for that course as long as the course is in the liberal arts curriculum. So you obviously cannot take a business course at UMass Amherst for Amherst College. But 4 of the 5 schools are liberal arts colleges, and that shouldn't be a problem for you. And besides, you'll have an academic advisor for all 4 years to provide guidance and support on your course selection. So they'll guide you on that as well. Socially, we have 38,000 students in the neighborhood. We're the 2nd largest booking venue in New England after Boston. There are a lot of events happening throughout the year on different campuses. You can always find an event of your interest. For example, talks given by writers, politicians, and comedy shows, and concerts, and workshops. And also you can join clubs on different campuses if you want. So your experience really can go well beyond what Amherst College offers you. Into the 5 colleges here. So we're really, really fortunate that we're able to provide our students with a lot more than what Amherst College alone can provide. Another thing that's very unique to Amherst College that really set us apart from most of the institutions in the country is our financial aid offering. We're knee blind in the admission process for both domestic and international students. It means that your financial need will not be considered during the admission process. In other words, we don't really care about how much money you can pay for your education here at Amherst, regardless of your citizenship status. Once you are admitted through our admission process, either through ED or RD, early decision or regular decision, we will then meet 100% of your demonstrated need. Which means that we will provide you with enough funding to cover all of the costs necessary for your 4 years here based on your need. And my colleague Kate Gentile will talk more about that later, but we can fund up to the total cost of attendance, which is well over $82,000 a year. And it includes not only tuition, but also room and board, health insurance, travel, so international round flight tickets every year. For those meet certain requirements or income threshold, you're also able to receive additional funding. For example, the startup grant that you can use towards buying winter clothes or bedding when you're here, and a variety of other funding sources. So that we want to make sure that the finance is not a barrier for any of our students. And in the financial aid package, there's no student loans, so you don't have to pay anything back when you graduate. There are only 4 institutions in the United States that offer these policies. Amherst College is the only liberal arts college that offers these policies. In the 2019 to 2020 academic year, 82% of our international students received need-based financial aid with an average of over $69,000 a year. So it truly is a very affordable place for any students who's interested in Amherst. Where do our graduates go then? So you can see that they're working in many different professions, in education, in consulting, in communication, in finance. We don't have any of these majors at Amherst, but our graduates are working in all of these professions. Not only because they have the solid liberal arts foundation, but also because our career center, which is called the Loeb Center for Career Aspiration and Planning, does a great job connecting our students with potential internship opportunities, alumni who work in many different industries across the country and the world. And they also have a lot of funded immersion programs that bring students to Washington, D.C., to Silicon Valley, to Wall Street, to help them learn fully about their career aspirations and interests. We also have dedicated funding available to help fund unpaid internships. For example, one of them is called the Mako Zhang Fellows Program that provides professional support as well as funding up to $4,500 for first-generation and/or low-income students. That's an automatic award. So if you come to Amherst and you're first-generation and/or low-income, you automatically receive that. You don't even have to apply. And then you can use the funding for a summer experience during your first or second year summer. For example, if there's a summer experience back in Ukraine or in London or Moscow or Beijing or London, you can use the funding to buy your plane tickets and pay your living expenses there if the company or organization that you will be working for does not provide any funding. So you can still explore and do the things that you want to do without any worries about not being able to afford it, because we have the funding to support you on that. Our graduates are now working in many different professions and companies and organizations across the board, as well as going to graduate schools around the world. So they are truly very well positioned for their futures. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the admission process this year. So if you're applying to Amherst this year, we are test optional, which means that if you don't have SAT or ACT scores, that is completely okay, and we will not be factoring that into admission process. If you have your test scores and if you want us to see them, we will still see them, but it doesn't mean that you will have more advantage over those who don't have test scores. So it is completely up to you. And Amherst is not alone in this. This is the first time that we have ever been test optional this year because of the in our history, actually, because of the pandemic. Thousands of other schools have also gone test optional this year because we know that this has been an extremely challenging year for all of us, especially for students who are applying this year, not being able to take the test. So please feel at ease about this, that your application will not be in any disadvantage because you don't have a test score. We have two deadlines coming up. Early decision deadline is November 16th. Regular decision deadline is January 4th. You can find all of our admission requirements on our website. But if you need a fee waiver for your application, you can utilize the Quick Pass program. It's a few clicks away, and then you'll be able to receive a fee waiver for your application. If you need a fee waiver for your CSS Profile form, which Kate will talk more later, and you can also request that directly on our website, which is also a simple click away. And we want to make sure that these things are not barriers for you for your application to Amherst College. So this is my contact information here. Please feel free to take a screenshot or take a photo using your phone or write it down. Feel free to email me directly or the admission office for any further questions. And my colleague, Kate, will join us at 10:30. So I want to see if you guys have any questions so far for admission. And then we can, once my colleague is here, we can talk about the CSS Profile form.
Well, I believe Kate is already here and waiting.
Oh, Kate is already here?
Yes.
Okay.
Kate, hello, welcome. Yes, let's wait and see if anybody has any questions about the about Amherst College.
Let me stop share so I can see Kate as well.
Well, and if you still have questions like toward the end of the session, please just leave them. We'll have Xiaofeng here with us to answer your questions at the end of the session. Hello, Kate. Yes, you can unmute yourself and then just go ahead with them.
Okay, so should we proceed with our presentation on CSS?
Yes, please.
Okay. Where's Kate?
Just a reminder, that we have Kate Gentile with us. She is the Senior Associate Dean of Financial Aid at Amherst, and she has a lot of years of experience awarding financial aid to international students, and she will speak more about the financial aid and about the CSS profile.
Okay, sounds good. Let me share the screen, and then Kate can start.
Can you folks hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Kate, can you see the PowerPoint?
I can't. I see XW, but I can't see the PowerPoint.
So, Kate, why don't if you open your PowerPoint on your own laptop, and then if you just tell me to go to the next slide, and then I'll go to the next slide because the audience can see mine on the screen.
Okay, so, all right, so I'm on the first screen, just saying hello, and we're going to talk about completing the CSS profile for international students. I have been the reader of international applications since I came to Amherst, which was many, many years ago. So this is a form that I've actually been able to help develop and be a part of, specifically with regard to how it impacts international students. So that on the next screen.
Wait a second, because I don't think we share in the presentation.
Okay.
Oh, can you not see it?
No, I don't think it goes to the broadcast. Yes, okay.
Okay, so it's all set?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so can we go to screen 2?
Yes.
Okay, so I know that Xiaofeng had mentioned, talked about the aid program, but I want to reiterate some things because frequently, because we are one of the few colleges in the country that is truly need blind, we'll have students who are skeptical of that. And it's important for Amherst applicants to understand that it is truly a need blind process. The financial aid office is not, we don't even look at applications until we've gotten the signal from the admissions office that someone is admissible. And whether somebody needs full funding or just partial funding doesn't play any part at all into the admission process. And almost every year we have some students who arrive on campus having indicated that they are not applying for financial aid in the admission process, and then they arrive on campus and say, but I really need financial aid, but I was afraid to say so because I didn't want to impact my admissibility. And it's very important that if you need financial aid to help cover our costs, which as Xiaofeng mentioned is over $80,000, that you indicate that up front. Because truly, the best way for us to be able to help you and give you some confidence that Amherst is going to be a 4-year achievable goal for you is to let us help you from the start. So we are completely need blind. We're only looking at your family's financial circumstances. We do meet the full need of admitted students using a combination of grants and a modest work expectation. We do ask that students work on campus to help cover their personal expenses. No one has to work on campus, but in order to cover personal expenses, you may be wanting to do that. We do not package loans up front as part of the financial aid award. If students would prefer not to work, we can offer a loan to replace work, but we don't give grant to replace work, other than this year because of COVID. We have used the CSS profile to help us determine the need level of our students for many, many years. It's a very good form. Again, we keep tweaking it to try and make it a more user-friendly form for applicants. If you can go to screen 3. The CSS profile is put out by the College Board. When you're applying for financial aid, no matter where you are applying, it is very important to be paying attention to deadlines. The Amherst deadline for the coming year for 21-22 is January 4th. There are schools, there are colleges who are not as fortunate as Amherst in terms of resources. And at those colleges, if you miss deadlines for financial aid, you may never be considered for financial aid at that school, either for 1 year, for 4 years. It's just very, very important to look at deadlines, pay attention to deadlines. There is a cost for completing the profile. The cost is $25 for the initial application, and then $16 for each school that you want to have sent the information. If the cost of the profile represents a hardship for you, as Xiaofeng mentioned, you can request a fee payment code. This is the shot of the website of where, or the link as to where you can apply for that. Now, these are codes that are only going to work for Amherst College, so we can only give out one code to each individual student. There may be other colleges that are offering the same thing, but we are trying to make it possible for you to complete an application without the financial barrier of the application costs. For completing the profile, they've worked very hard to try and make this, again, accessible, easily accessible for international students. And with 3 clicks, the little purple piece that's up at the top of the page is where you are going to enter the College Board site to complete the profile. And with 3 clicks, it will take you to a PowerPoint, a narrated PowerPoint for international students as to how to complete the profile. And again, I've put the link up there for you if you want to take a screenshot to help students get into the application itself. The application uses smart logic, which means depending on what your answers are, it will move you on to questions that are appropriate for the answer you've just given. So if you're filling out a form and another person's filling out the same form, they may not have exactly the same questions because they get moved along through the process based on their individual answers. So for the next slide, when you're completing, I'm not going to step you through the profile. It's a pretty long form, and again, the step-by-step narrated video it's excellent and should take you through, and it shouldn't really be difficult to perform. Oh, hold on just a second. I lost you. There we go. So if you already have College Board credentials, which means if you do take the SATs, which are offered by the College Board, you will have sign-in credentials, and you would use those same sign-in credentials to get to the profile. If you're not completing the SAT or taking the SAT test, you're just going to have to establish an account with the College Board. And again, you do that by, you just Google the CSS Profile, and it will help you, it'll step you through the setup of the application. You want to make sure that you're using the correct year application, which is 21-22. Most colleges, Amherst included, is still taking applications for students for this current year. Our transfer students for January are going to be filling out the 2021 application. So that link is still on our website, and every year there are students who click on the wrong link, fill out the wrong year form, and then they have to go back, pay a second time to fill out the right year form. So you're looking for the 21-22 year form, and the Amherst College Board code 3003. If you don't remember that, there will be a link to a table on the application that will help you find the right code. You want to be sure that you're using your correct name, and that would be the name that's on your passport. And you also want to make sure that you're using the correct date of birth. I know that sounds logical and reasonable, but every year there's problems with people who have not, in fact, provided the correct information. And it creates a real problem for matching up your financial record with your admission application record. So screen 5. It's important to remember when you start to fill out the form that you have your parents' tax or income information on hand. The application for 22-23 21-22, is going to be looking at the calendar year income of 2019. If your country uses a tax year that's other than the calendar year, there will be instructions on the profile as to how to determine which tax year in your country is the appropriate year to use for filling out the form. It's also very important that you use your home country currency throughout the profile form. What the application does is it takes the information that's provided in your home currency and it converts it to US dollars and applies a country coefficient, a cost of living country coefficient based on the economy of your home country as compared to living in the US. If your parents were never married, are separated, or are divorced, we do require that both parents fill out a profile form. There will be a parent A and a parent B, filling them out separately. Again, and there are instructions as you go through the form that will help you help explain how a second parent would be able to complete the profile. It's important that you not skip any fields. The form tries to prevent that. But again, we're looking for as much information about your circumstances as you have available to help us really understand what's going on with your family and your family's finances. When you get to the questions that are asking about taxes paid, you want to make sure that you're including individual taxes, and that's whether they're paid or whether they are withheld. Not everybody pays taxes. A lot of countries, the taxes are withheld by the government, but we need the information about what is being withheld or paid for income taxes, value-added taxes, Social Security contributions, or that you are required to make, or other required pension contributions. So all of that is going to be combined and reported into the line that's asking for taxes paid. Again, it doesn't mean your parents are paying it. It could mean you could be looking for on the earnings statement or income statement that it's the amount that your parents' employer or that the government is withholding to meet those obligations. So going on to screen 6. There are helps that are embedded in the profile application to assist you with questions. There's also people online. There is a number online and I believe a chat function so that if you get stuck on a question, you can inquire for some assistance. There's a section of, the application will start out with a student section asking questions about what is your application type? Are you an early decision, a regular decision, a transfer? It will ask about your biographical information, your citizenship information, your income and your savings, if you are married, if you have children dependent on you. Then it moves on to the parent section, where it's asking if your parents are not together, you should be using the parent with whom you reside most of the time for the first profile, or parent A, and then parent B, non-custodial parent, would complete a second profile form. If you have compelling reasons that you're not able to provide your parents' second information, use the comment section. There's a rather lengthy comment section at the end of the profile. And this is where you would provide additional information about anything that has to do with your family's financial circumstances. But this would be a place to indicate if you are not able to provide your second parent's information. Many of the colleges will also have on their website something called the petition to waive non-custodial parents. Non-custodial parents will not be waived because a parent is unwilling to provide a contribution to support their education, but there are circumstances under which a non-custodial parent can be waived. Usually that means that you would be asked to provide some additional information through the form process of using a petition to provide some more information. Those go directly to the school. They do not go to the college, to the CSS organization. You want to be sure that you're listing all sources of income, wages, interest and dividend income from assets, business profits. There is a section that you will be asked to provide information about the business. And based on the information you provide there, your institution may come out and ask you for a separate business supplement or separate business tax documents. You want to make sure you're reporting rental income if your family is receiving support from other family members, child support, alimony. We need to know. It's a fairly invasive process. It makes some people a little uncomfortable about revealing such personal details, but it's just important for us to really understand your finances in order to be able to assist you. It's important that you include and list all assets, home, other real estate, savings, investments, business assets, trusts, all the resources that you do have access to for helping support your education. So, common mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes that's made is students are mistakenly reporting themselves as independent in the student section of the form. If you reside with your parents, then you are dependent, and it's important that you not fill out the form indicating that your parents' information is not available. We have a number of students every year who complete the form using the wrong currency. And most of the time what that means is they're not following the very specific instructions that tell them to use your home currency when you are completing the profile. There will be people who will do a conversion from home country to US dollars as they're filling out the profile. The problem with that is when the coefficient for the country is applied, it brings all those numbers down to like zeros, ones, and twos. So please be sure that you're completing the whole form in your home country currency. I frequently go back to the original profile if I have questions or I'm trying to understand what's going on, and I look at the currency that was being used, and I also can compare the rate that was used with the current rate when there's big changes in a family's, when changes in a country that can happen over the course of a year in terms of country valuation. People actually do report the wrong names and the wrong birth dates. Please do not use nicknames because then it will be very difficult for us to, again, match up your application with the admission application. Another thing I've been seeing a lot of in the past few years is the citizenship status. And that's not so much what country are you a citizen of, but what will be your status in the US coming in to study. And you want to make sure that under the citizenship status, you are choosing other. Students have been choosing not eligible non-citizen. That's really a permanent resident in the US. And while you will be residing in the US while you are studying here, you are not a permanent resident. So please be very careful to choose other under the options of citizenship status. Another mistake, as I mentioned earlier, is using the wrong filing year. We had somebody do that. I saw the email about it just yesterday. He filled out the wrong application year, and then now he has to go back and resubmit a new application and pay for a second application. So anywhere through this process, you can stop and save your application. You can go back to it if you don't have all the information or you have questions. And you get a chance to review all the information before you submit the application. What you cannot do is go back in and change information after the application has been submitted. At that point, if you realize that you have made a mistake, you would communicate directly with the colleges to let them know what that error is, because right now there is no vehicle for going back in after a profile has been submitted to update information or change information. So the last things I wanted to communicate. As I mentioned, there is a comment section on the form that enables you to provide information, any information, that you believe help us better understand what's happening with your family. Such items can include changes in your parents' employment since 2019. We know that a lot of families around the world have been affected by COVID with regard to jobs and businesses. If the family income is going to be lower, again, remember that the initial read is all going to be based on what happened with your family in 2019. 2020 is a very different case for some families. You want to provide as much information as you can. You also can provide information directly to colleges if there isn't enough space in the comment section. Please provide any explanations for high medical expenses. Don't just report the expenses, but give us some context for that. If your family is providing support to extended family, such as grandparents, don't say just we're helping support grandparents. Quantify those figures because we can't do anything with a statement that says we're helping support family, but if we are providing $2,000 in support to help family, that's the information we really need. Now, most of the colleges that provide funding for international students are going to ask you to provide supporting documents, income documents, or taxation documents. It's really important to remember that you need to be providing translated information if those documents are not in English. These do not, for Amherst, they do not need to be officially translated documents. They can be hand annotated by you, but speak other languages. There may be other offices that have more other folks that do speak other languages, but the tax information, when I go to work with it, it really needs to be, I need to know what the headings are in English. So please do hand annotate. We will be looking for earnings statements. And we can provide, if you have questions about what, a circumstance that you don't know how to provide information about, you can reach out to us. We can get back to you. We have lots of experiences with students studying from lots of different countries. We have samples of what the documents that should be available that we're hoping to get from you. So you shouldn't hesitate to ask questions. It's very important that you not be emailing your personal or your parents' income documentation. In Amherst, you have the ability to upload that information to an institutional portal. I can't speak for what other schools are doing, but it is important to remember that email is not a secure way to forward information. So we ask that you not email. Faxes, or documents uploaded directly to our portal. So that's all that I wanted to speak to. I'm happy. I know I talk really fast. I apologize for that. But I'm happy to answer questions if anybody has any questions.
Well, we do have a few questions. I think it's just mostly related to the first part of the presentation, and then we will. I believe we will have, I hope we will have questions about the financial aid. Okay, so the first question is, does Amherst College accept Duolingo language tests? Duolingo, it's a...
Thank you, Katya, for the question. Amherst College does not accept Duolingo English test. We only accept TOEFL or IELTS, including their online versions, which is TOEFL Special Home Edition and the IELTS Indicator. We do not accept any other tests other than TOEFL and IELTS.
Thank you. Another question is, are there any postgraduate programs at Amherst College?
Did you say graduate programs?
Postgraduate
programs. We don't, but there might be in very rare occasions post-baccalaureate research fellowships available, but that's not a common thing unless there's funding or it depends on the professor. But in general, no. We only offer 4 years of undergraduate bachelor level studies.
Thank you. So another question, is there different deadlines for transfer? I believe transfer students probably.
Yes, there are different deadlines for transfer. The best way to look them up is to go to our website and go to the admission page, and you'll be able to see the two different transfer deadlines. One is in March, one is in November.
Thank you. Yes, I have a question about the video. Video will be recorded and you will be able to access it on our YouTube channel anytime. Okay, the question is, would sending my SAT scores be beneficial to my application to prove my academic ability?
So the straight answer is no. Because we are test optional this year, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want your scores to be considered if you have them. So as I mentioned earlier, submitting your test score doesn't mean that you'll have more advantage over those who don't submit their test scores. So if you have a test score available and you are unsure whether or not you want us to see it, one way to think about it is that if you feel that your test score is an accurate representation of your academic ability, then feel free to submit it. If you feel that it does not represent your true academic ability, then feel free not to submit it, because as I said earlier, not submitting your test score is not going to disadvantage your application in any way this year. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for the answer. Another question is for Kate, for you. The student is asking if she works part-time but not officially employed, should she write about that in her CSS profile? For example, if she has a freelance job.
The profile does ask if you have earnings. To be honest, earnings that there is no expectation that international students, in fact, are working abroad. So you can certainly provide that information, but it's not going to generate an expected contribution here. Domestic students are in a different category, and international students don't have any summer income expectation. If you're talking about freelance working while you're in the US, that would be a different case because there would be tax forms that would need to be completed. And that's something that could, if you make a lot of money, could make a difference. We don't really have very many students most of the kids who are at Amherst, in fact, are working on campus. And there's a fair amount of flexibility, and there's many, many jobs that are available. And again, the only expectation for the international students is that they're helping to meet their own personal expenses.
Thank you. Another student is asking, she says that my family receives government financial aid, like support, because they're a large family. Is there any place on CSS profile where she can include that?
Yes. Again, there will be questions that will be asking to report any taxable or untaxed income. Government support is part of what is helping support the family. So yes, I can't tell you the exact question, but it is there, and you want to make sure that you're reporting it.
Another question is about the fee waiver. So does the code for CSS profile covers only the send-in fee, like $16, or is there something else that the waiver can cover?
It only covers the application, the CSS application fees. It doesn't cover anything else. And again, that's a code that you would request. And we would provide it. And when you go to complete your profile, you would provide that code number, and you would be able to complete the form without the charge.
Thank you so much, Kate. Yeah, this is the questions from our students. We can wait for a minute or two to see if there will be more questions. But anyway, thank you so much for the information. It was very interesting to hear about Amherst College and the opportunities it offers to international students and the financial aid it offers to international students. Do you have Ukrainian students by any chance?
We do.
Okay.
Not a number, but we do.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And we definitely want more from Ukraine. So.
Okay, we have another question. Are the transfer students eligible for the same financial aid as the first-year applicants?
Yes, they are. The only thing that transfer students aren't eligible for is for our very high need students, as Xiaofeng mentioned, we have a startup grant to help get them launched in college. Because it's their first time on campus, and it's $400, and it's made available when students get on campus. Transfer students are not considered first-time college students, so they're not eligible for the grant. That is actually the only difference in the funding opportunities for transfer versus freshmen.
Thank you so much. And all right, and I think this is all for today.
Oh.
And once again, thank you for the information. And you shared your contact information with our students, with our audience. And please, if anybody wants to get contacted with Amherst College, if you can still access to the video to see the information. Or you can contact Education USA, and we will address your questions or direct your questions to Amherst College. And yeah, I think that's all. Have a nice day, everyone. Yeah. And you can rewatch the video and all the information about the form and how to fill it out again if you need on our YouTube channel.
Thank you so much, Katya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Sasha, for working in the background. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.